What if I told you that the very place that you feel like your safest haven, your bed, has become your personal battleground? Every night, you climb under the covers hoping for rest, but instead, your mind switches on like a fluorescent light in a dark room. Your thoughts race. Your heart pounds. You check the clock and groan because it's been 2 hours and you're still wide awake. Sound familiar? Here's the thing most people don't realize. Your sleepless nights aren't a sign of weakness or failure. They're actually your brain doing exactly what it thinks it should do to keep you alive. But somewhere along the way, your internal alarm system got stuck in the on position, and now it's working against you instead of for you. The good news? Once you understand what's happening in your brain, you can start to work with it instead of fighting against it. In the next few minutes, you're going to discover exactly what happens inside your brain when sleep goes wrong and why stress hijacks your natural sleep system. You'll learn how a tiny gland in your brain controls whether you feel sleepy or alert, and why checking your phone before bed is like drinking 3 cups of coffee. I'll show you the sneaky cycle that keeps you trapped in sleepless nights, and most importantly, I'll give you 3 simple tools you can use tonight to start breaking free from insomnia's grip. Let's start with a simple truth. Your brain never actually turns off. Even when you're sleeping peacefully, your brain is busier than a bee in a flower garden. It's filing away memories, cleaning out cellular garbage, and preparing for the next day. But for sleep to happen, your brain has to shift gears from daytime mode to nighttime mode. And this shift is controlled by something called your circadian rhythm. Think of your circadian rhythm as your brain's internal clock. It's like having a master scheduler living in a tiny part of your brain called the suprachiasmatic nucleus. Let's just call it your brain's command center. This command center watches for light and darkness through your eyes, and it uses this information to tell the rest of your body when it's time to be awake and when it's time to sleep. When the sun goes down and darkness falls, your command center sends a signal to a small, pine cone-shaped gland called the pineal gland. This little gland then releases a hormone called melatonin into your bloodstream. Melatonin is like nature's sleeping pill. It makes you feel drowsy and ready for bed. As melatonin levels rise, your body temperature drops slightly, your heart rate slows down, and your muscles begin to relax. It's a beautiful, natural process that's been working for millions of years. But here's where things can go wrong. When you're stressed, anxious, or worried, another part of your brain called the amygdala springs into action. The amygdala is your brain's alarm system, and its job is to keep you safe from danger. When it detects a threat, whether it's a charging lion or just a memory of an embarrassing moment from 3 years ago, it floods your system with stress hormones like cortisol and adrenaline. These stress hormones are incredibly powerful. They're designed to keep you alert, focused, and ready to fight or run away from danger. But they also suppress melatonin production and keep your brain in high alert mode. It's like trying to fall asleep while someone is blowing an air horn in your ear. Your amygdala doesn't understand the difference between a real emergency and a worry about tomorrow's presentation. It treats them both as life or death situations. Studies show that people with chronic insomnia have higher levels of cortisol in their bloodstream, especially in the evening when cortisol should naturally be at its lowest. Their brains are essentially stuck in daytime mode, even when their bodies desperately need rest. But stress hormones are just part of the puzzle. There's another sneaky culprit that's probably sitting right next to your bed: artificial light, especially the blue light that comes from phones, tablets, computers, and LED bulbs. Blue light is particularly powerful because it mimics sunlight and tricks your brain into thinking it's still daytime. Research has found that exposure to blue light for just 2 hours before bedtime can suppress melatonin production by up to 30%. That's like telling your brain's internal clock that it's noon when it's actually midnight. Your command center gets confused, melatonin stays low, and you end up lying in bed feeling wired instead of tired. Now, let's talk about what might be the most frustrating part of insomnia: the worry cycle. Once you've had a few bad nights of sleep, your brain starts to associate your bed with frustration and anxiety instead of rest and comfort. You start to dread bedtime. You lie down and immediately begin calculating how many hours of sleep you might get if you fall asleep right now. Then right now. This creates what sleep scientists call conditioned arousal. Your bed, which should be a cue for sleepiness, becomes a cue for anxiety. It's like Pavlov's dog, but in reverse. Instead of hearing a bell and expecting food, you see your bed and expect to lie awake worrying. Your heart rate increases, your muscles tense up, and your mind starts racing with thoughts about how tired you'll be tomorrow. This is where the real trap begins. The more you worry about not sleeping, the more alert you become. The more alert you become, the less likely you are to fall asleep. And the cycle continues night after night until insomnia becomes your new normal. Scientists call this state hyperarousal, and it's exactly what it sounds like. Your entire nervous system is revved up like a car engine that won't idle down. Your brain is producing too much of the wake-promoting chemicals like histamine, orexin, and norepinephrine, while not producing enough of the sleep-promoting chemicals like GABA and adenosine. Adenosine is particularly interesting because it's like your brain's sleep pressure gauge. Throughout the day, as you're awake and active, adenosine builds up in your brain. The longer you've been awake, the more adenosine accumulates and the sleepier you feel. It's why you feel more tired at 8 p.m. than you did at 8 a.m. When you sleep, adenosine gets cleared away, and you wake up feeling refreshed. But chronic stress and anxiety can interfere with this natural process. When your amygdala is constantly firing, it disrupts the normal buildup and clearance of adenosine. You might feel tired during the day but wired at night, or exhausted but unable to sleep deeply. There's also something called the effort trap that many insomniacs fall into. The harder you try to fall asleep, the more elusive sleep becomes. Sleep is what scientists call a passive process. It's something that happens to you, not something you actively do. It's like try to fall in love or try to have fun. The moment you start forcing it, you've already lost. Your brain knows the difference between real sleepiness and fake sleepiness. When you lie in bed trying to make yourself fall asleep, your brain recognizes this as effort and activity, which is the opposite of the relaxed, passive state needed for sleep. It's like trying to meditate by aggressively thinking about not thinking. The good news is that understanding all of this gives us a roadmap for getting back to healthy sleep. Your brain is incredibly adaptable. Scientists call this neuroplasticity, which means you can literally rewire your sleep patterns with the right approach. Let's start with 3 practical tools you can use starting tonight. The first is a breathing technique called the 4-7-8 breath, and it works by activating your parasympathetic nervous system, your body's natural relaxation response. Here's how it works. Breathe in through your nose for 4 counts, hold your breath for 7 counts, then breathe out through your mouth for 8 counts. The extended exhale is the key because it stimulates the vagus nerve, which sends a signal to your brain that it's safe to relax. When you extend your exhale longer than your inhale, you're essentially telling your amygdala to stand down and your body to shift into rest mode. Try this right now if you'd like. Breathe in for 4, hold for 7, and out for 8. Do this 3 or 4 times whenever you're feeling wound up before bed. It's like hitting a reset button for your nervous system. The second tool is what I call the morning light reset. Remember how your circadian rhythm depends on light and darkness cues? Well, getting bright light exposure within the first hour of waking up is one of the most powerful ways to regulate your internal clock. When morning light hits your eyes, it sends a clear signal to your brain's command center that it's time to be awake and alert. This stops any remaining melatonin production and starts a countdown timer for when melatonin should be released again, roughly 14 to 16 hours later. You don't need expensive light therapy equipment. Just step outside for 10 to 15 minutes within an hour of waking up, even if it's cloudy. If you can't get outside, sit by a bright window. This simple habit can dramatically improve your ability to fall asleep at night because you're essentially programming your internal clock to work in sync with a natural day-night cycle. The third tool is a technique called cognitive diffusion, which helps you detach from the racing thoughts that often keep you awake. When your mind is spinning with worries, to-do lists, or random thoughts, you don't need to fight them or try to stop them. Instead, you can change your relationship with them. Try this. When you notice your mind getting busy at bedtime, imagine your thoughts as leaves floating down a stream. You can see them, acknowledge them, but you don't have to grab onto them or follow them downstream. You can just watch them drift by. Another version is to imagine your thoughts as clouds passing across the sky of your mind. They come, they go, but the sky remains peaceful and vast. This technique works because it engages your prefrontal cortex, the rational, observing part of your brain, which can help calm down the emotional reactivity of your amygdala. You're not suppressing your thoughts, which usually backfires, but you're changing from being caught up in them to simply observing them. Now, let's do a quick micro-reflection together that you can use anytime you're feeling anxious about sleep. Think of one worry that's been keeping you up lately. It might be about work, relationships, health, or just general anxiety about not getting enough sleep. Got something in mind? Good. Now, instead of seeing this worry as a fact or a problem you must solve right now, try seeing it as just a thought your brain is producing. Your brain produces thousands of thoughts every day, and not all of them deserve your full attention, especially at bedtime. Take that worry and imagine placing it in an imaginary box next to your bed. You're not throwing it away or pretending it doesn't matter. You're just setting it aside until tomorrow, when you're better equipped to deal with it. Say to yourself, this thought is trying to keep me safe, but right now, the safest thing I can do is rest. Take a slow, deep breath and imagine your body sinking a little deeper into your bed. Notice that even though the worry might still be there, you don't have to hold on to it so tightly. You can acknowledge it and still choose to let your body relax. Here's what I want you to remember. Insomnia isn't a character flaw or a sign that something is permanently wrong with you. It's a pattern your brain learned to try to keep you safe. But like many protective patterns, it sometimes gets stuck and stops serving you. Your brain created these patterns, which means your brain can also change them. Every time you practice the 4-7-8 breathing, every morning you get light exposure. Every night you practice observing your thoughts instead of getting caught up in them, you're literally rewiring your neural pathways. You're teaching your brain that it's safe to rest, that your bed is a place of comfort, not worry, and that you can trust your body's natural wisdom to sleep when it's ready. The journey back to healthy sleep isn't always linear. You might have great nights and difficult nights, and that's completely normal. What matters is that you're working with your brain instead of against it. You're giving your nervous system what it needs to function properly: regular light exposure, stress management techniques, and a compassionate relationship with your own thoughts and feelings. Sleep is not something you have to earn or deserve. It's your birthright as a human being. Your body knows how to sleep. Sometimes it just needs a little help remembering. I want to leave you with this thought. Tonight, when you climb into bed, instead of asking, will I be able to sleep? Try asking, how can I make this moment as comfortable and peaceful as possible? Focus on creating the conditions for sleep rather than forcing sleep itself. Comment below and let me know which of these 3 tools you're going to try tonight: the 4-7-8 breathing, the morning light reset, or the cognitive diffusion technique. I'd love to hear how they work for you. And if you found this deep dive into the neuroscience of sleep helpful, make sure to subscribe, because next week we're exploring the fascinating world of dreams and what they reveal about your mental health. Until then, sleep well, and remember, your brain is on your side, even when it doesn't feel like it.